Hi friends, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Rachel, and welcome to my Plated Prisoner series reading vlog. I cannot believe that this video is finally going up. I am filming this intro after I've already finished the video, but I wanted to come on here and give you guys a little bit of an introduction. In today's video, I'm going to be reading the entire Plated Prisoner series. Gild, Glint, Gleam, Glow, Gold, and Goldfinch, and I want to let you guys know straight off the bat, this is a full spoiler vlog. Spoilers everywhere for this whole series in this video, so please do not go forward if you have not read the Plated Prisoner series. Make sure to finish it and then come back and watch this video, or maybe you're just going to choose chaos and watch it anyway. I cannot stop you, but I just really appreciate that you guys are here. This has been such a labor of love to work on this vlog, and I had so much fun making it. Last year I had asked you all, what is a series that you would like to see me read in a series reading vlog, similar to the ones that I've done for the Zodiac Academy series and the Infernal Devices trilogy, and the Plated Prisoner series was the #1 most requested series. So many people asked that I do a series reading vlog for it, and it is finally here. So sit down, get cozy, grab a snack, and I hope that you guys enjoy my Plated Prisoner series reading vlog. Hi besties, welcome to my very first reading check-in for this Plated Prisoner series reading vlog. I am so excited. I have started our first book, which is Gild, and I am currently on page, let's see, 96. So I'm about a quarter of the way through this book, and first impressions upon this reread, I am really enjoying this. I'm really liking Arin. I'm really liking the world, the little bits of history that we've gotten, the political scheming that is going on. I'm super here for it. I feel like the way that Raven Kennedy writes world building and talking about war and talking about all these different kingdoms, it's very digestible and entertaining. She really keeps me locked into those conversations. I also think her writing creates a lot of imagery. I can imagine this very wintry kingdom that they live in and the gilded castle. It's just really drawn me in. And Arin, upon this reread so far, I'm really liking her. I think I liked her when I read this book for the first time. It was over 2 years ago, so I don't super remember my feelings about her, but I've really connected to her. I find her to be such a joy, and as soon as you meet her, you want to root for her. I love her sense of humor. I love her just like random kind of positive outlook on things. While it definitely comes from a place of trauma and it's a coping mechanism, I just find her to be a character that you want to root for so bad. I love her little like joking quips with her guard Digby, who I don't remember if anything happens to Digby, but I will be very upset if anything does because I love him. You can tell there's almost like this paternal care that he has for her because so many of her guards are the worst. Truly, like 95% of the men in this series are terrible, at least from what I remember of Gild, Glint, and Gleam. They are just absolutely disgusting, but Digby is a real one. Digby seems like a really great guy, and I love Arin trying to like joke around with him, ask if he wants to play a drinking game, and he's just very stoic. You can tell that he cares. And while I love Arin so much so far, it's so hard to see her interacting with King Midas when she does not realize how terrible he is, how manipulative he is, and how he plucked her from this life that was really terrible, and she was a child and she didn't know any better, and he has made himself to be like a god in her eyes, and she's so grateful for any scrap of attention he gives her. She's so grateful for this gilded cage that he has put her in. We, the reader, can clearly see that this is not okay, but seeing just how much of a haze she has over her vision of how her life is, it's really hard to see, but I'm so excited to watch her journey. So I think starting from this very low place is very necessary to see that character growth and arc. And I've seen a lot of people say, who have read this entire series, that Arin's character growth is like the best part of the series, that you can really see her develop and change and just kind of become this different character. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm instantly charmed by her. I'm rooting for her. I really like her, and I'm excited to just re-experience Gild again and watch her kind of go through questioning her relationship with King Midas at this point, because now there has been a bargain struck between King Midas and then that other king. I don't even remember his name. He doesn't deserve a name because he's literally disgusting, but she has never had anyone else touch her. King Midas has never used her in political scheming or agreements, but the fact that he has is just completely freaking her out. So I'm looking looking forward to seeing his very perfectly gilded facade start to crack in Aron's eyes. So first impressions of Gild, 96 pages in, are very good. I'm really liking it, and I think I'm gonna finish this book pretty soon. I am listening to the audiobook, which is really great, by the way. I love the narrators, and I only have like 3 hours left because this book is pretty short. Even though it's about 400 pages, I feel like the words on the page are pretty big, and there's like quite a bit of spacing and like negative space here. So I think I'm gonna finish this book either today or tomorrow, so I'm excited about that. I will continue to read Gild, and I will give you guys an update in a little bit. So I am on page 181 now, and I wanted to pop in because I really like the beginnings of this scene that we are in. Things take a turn very quickly, but Aron and the other saddles are headed to the Fifth Kingdom because King Midas has killed the Fifth Kingdom's king in his clever / diabolical scheming, and he is now going to be taking over that kingdom. It was a part of his plan all along, and Aron and the other saddles are now headed there to be at the Fifth Kingdom castle with him. But I like this scene because Aron gets to have a little bit of freedom. Digby lets her leave the carriage and she gets to ride a horse. I'm honestly really surprised that Digby does that because like baby girl is golden skin, golden hair, and she's like, yeah, I'm wearing a hood and I have my hair braided back, so people probably won't be able to tell, but I'm like, your face is golden. Like, I think people are gonna tell, and I just got to a part where I'm pretty sure the village that they're passing by, people are noticing. But I appreciate the thought. I appreciate that Digby wants her to just have a little bit of freedom, and the best part of the scene is that she meets Sail, who I forgot about. Sweet, precious baby Sail. He is a guard, and he is the light of my life, truly. I love him. He is such an immediate friend to Aron, and their bond is really sweet, and he is just one of the good ones. So getting to meet him again has been super fun. I totally forgot about him, but I remember when I read this book for the first time, Sail was a character that I just clung to immediately. I really liked him, and I think that he's just kind of this really nice bright spot in this traveling scene that we are in with Aron and the other saddles. But things are about to go down because obviously people are starting to notice that, hey, there's a gold girly pop on like an all-white horse traveling through the Fifth Kingdom, and who could that possibly be? King Midas's favorite, of course. So I think that things are about to hit the fan, but I just wanted to pop in and say that we've met Sail, and I love him so much, and his and Aron's interactions are just really sweet and a nice bright spot in an overall dark book. I just really appreciate this friendship. Hi friends, so I am actually about to finish Gild. I have been flying through this book today. I only have like that much left. I'm on page 351, and so much has happened since we last talked. Oh my god. First of all, Sail. R.I.P. Sail. I love you, I miss you, gone but not forgotten, bigger than the whole sky. I cannot believe like how much I connected to Sail and how much I loved him for the short amount of time that he was with us. Like, he really just came in and was a really good friend to Aron, which is really what she needed. And then bam, the snow pirates come and just are terrible and kill a bunch of King Midas's soldiers and horses, and they take all the women, they take all the saddles, they take Aron, and are truly just so terrible. Honestly, they're terrifying characters in this book. Like, I hate all of the scenes where the pirates are interacting with the women. They're so gross. They're physically disgusting with them. The way that they talk is awful. Like, they are true evil villains in this book, and it just adds such like a dark and serious tone to the book. I mean, there were definitely dark elements honestly from the beginning, but these scenes of the women on the boat with the snow pirates are just really hard to get through. Aron, though, definitely in this moment, once she realizes like this is really happening, King Midas is not coming for us, she really does start to become more ruthless and a little bit more violent and really tries hard to protect herself, help out the other women, and I think that that's great to see. I think that the Aron that we meet in the beginning of the book, she's still pretty meek and she doesn't really want to rock the boat at all, but once they're in the situation that they're in, things are so serious, things are so dire, we do get to see a different side of her, and we get to see her ribbons on her back come into play and get into action. Those kind of freak me out. I'm not gonna lie, I still don't really understand like the mechanics of them, why she has them, what is going on back there, but they seem to help her out in a pinch, so we are very happy for that. And it's just interesting to see this new kind of facet of Arin's character. But on a happier note, on a much more exciting note, we have met Commander Rip. Let's go, besties. Do you know what I love? When you're reading a book and we meet a character, but the POV that we are in, the character that we're following, they can't tell what this new character looks like. For whatever reason, the new character maybe has their face covered. Maybe they're not facing our main character right away. In this case, Commander Rip has a helmet on, and when he takes it off, he's facing away from Arin, and she just keeps bringing up like, I can't tell what he looks like, this and that. And that is because we are going to get the hot reveal. We're about to get the hot reveal. I love the hot reveal. I love when we are hiding a character's face from our main character, because you know that means that we are about to get the hot reveal, and I'm so looking forward to it. Commander Rip is instantly very menacing, very different, very mysterious, and he is also fae, which is really exciting. So this is a fae fantasy romance series. I love fae so much. Give me all the fae fantasy romances. I know that they're like done to death, but I don't care. Give me a million more of them. I'm so happy that we have fae in this book and that they're instantly recognizable as fae. That was a really exciting moment, and it does kind of ease some of the pressure because you know that, okay, Commander Rip has purchased all of these saddles and Arin, anything else on the ship that belongs to King Midas, and he is going to take them onto his ship and presumably take them back to the Fourth Kingdom for King Ravenger. I don't remember exactly like what happens to the saddles and Arin right after the events of this, but I believe that they're going to head back that way. But yeah, so we have met another one of our very important characters, Commander Rip, and Arin still doesn't know what he looks like. Where I'm at in the book, she still has not seen his face, which is very fun. Oh, and then like the most important thing that I just read is it is revealed that Arin is the one with the gold powers. She is the one with the gold touch. There's a scene, I'm not really gonna like talk too much or dive too much into it. To be honest, chapter 36, if you've read this book, I'm assuming if you're watching this vlog, you've read this book. Chapter 36, there's a very, very graphic depiction of SA on page, and it goes on for multiple pages. I just kind of skimmed through that, but at the end of that chapter, Arin does help to save Rissa, who is one of the saddles, from her attacker, and she does this by putting her palm onto his neck, and he turns to solid gold. So Arin reveals herself to Rissa and to us, the reader, that she is the one who actually has these gold powers. I'll be excited to kind of get refamiliarized with that again. I also want to say Rissa, I really like her character. She is one of the royal saddles, and she and Arin have this very like interesting kind of relationship right now, where in the beginning of the book they really didn't like each other, but they've kind of been doing little things for each other here and there, and you can kind of see this friendship forming. And Rissa seems just like a really strong character in this book. When all of the women are kidnapped and taken onto the snow pirate ship, they're really nervous and crying, understandably, and particularly there is a young saddle who Rissa is like soothing and saying like, it's gonna be okay. And she like kind of rallies all the girls to like toughen up and be like, we got this, we can survive this. And I'm just excited to get more from her. I feel like she does end up becoming more of a main character in the series, if I remember correctly. I don't know, 2 years ago might as well be 10 years ago for my brain, but I really like her character and I just see a lot of strength in her, and I'm excited to dive more into that. So overall, enjoyment of this book is so much. I'm loving this. I really am. I'm liking this a lot more than I did the first time around. I'm so engaged, and the second half of the book in particular is much more action-packed and just super entertaining. So I'm really enjoying it, and I'm excited for Arin and Commander Rip to like actually meet and like have a conversation for the first time. So I'm gonna go finish Guild and then we will talk afterward. Hi friends, so I finished Guild last night and I really, really liked it. I liked it much more the second time around that I've read it. I connected to Arin more and I was just really into the story, and I think it's a really strong start to the series. I don't know if it'll be like my favorite in the series. At the end of this video, I do want to rank all of the books from my least favorite to most favorite. We'll see where Guild ends up, but I thought it was pretty good and it really just got me excited about the series as a whole. The only thing that I do not like about Guild is the frequent threats of violence against women throughout this book. And then also there is a very graphic depiction of SA in this book. And for me, I just had to skim kind of right past that part. Those parts were extremely difficult to get through. I wish that they weren't in the book personally, but overall, I do think that this is a good book and a good start to a dark fantasy romance. So this morning I woke up and I was not planning on picking up book 2, Glint, anytime soon. I was actually gonna pick it up next week because I'm working on another vlog right now and I need to read a different book for that. But I literally cannot stop thinking about the Plated Prisoner series. When I woke up this morning, it was the first thing on my mind and I was like, okay, I just need to pick up book 2. So I have, and I am already 50% of the way done with it. So I think I might end up finishing this book today too, which would be crazy if I finished 2 books in 2 days. But I am just really loving this world and I just wanted to be back in it. So I picked up Glint and I'm loving it. I love all the interactions between Commander Rip and Aaron. He is really trying to figure her out and he's really throwing her off her game and kind of everything that she knew, but she needs that. I feel like he is almost holding up a mirror to Aaron and trying to show her that she has been mistreated for a very long time and she is actually very strong. And I just love all their interactions. They're so tension filled. In the beginning of the book, when she finds out that she is staying in his tent and she's like, oh my God, like, why are you like keeping me in your tent? And he's like, oh, I need to keep an eye on you. I died. And then I got brought back to life by the same book. I just love their interactions. There's so much tension between them and Commander Rip is just like amazing. The man, or I guess the male, I should say, since he's Fae, the male that he is, truly, I appreciate it. I'm clapping, I'm cheering. He is just a great character and I can't wait to dive deeper into his psyche and his mindset and all of that. And every single time him and Aaron are interacting, I lose my mind. Right now I'm in the scene where they're going to fight one another and they're doing like a little bit of training and it's just so good and there's so much tension. I also really love the side characters. We have met Osric and he is like Commander Rip's second in command. He is super grumpy, kind of a brute, but I really enjoy him and I liked seeing his and Aaron's interactions. And then we also met Lou. Her full name is, I think, Tallulah, but she does not want to be called that, so I certainly will not be calling her that. Lou, she is a badass warrior in Commander Rip's army and I just liked her sarcastic and quick personality. And we also just found out that Mist is pregnant with King Midas's child, which is crazy. I completely forgot about that. That knocked me over when that was revealed. Oh my God. I honestly don't remember like what happens with that. I imagine it's not going to be good, whatever the outcome of that is. I just don't have a lot of faith in like good outcome with that, but we'll see what happens. And we're also getting a lot of backstory on Aaron and Midas and like when they first met and how she came into the Sixth Kingdom and them kind of just like building a bit of a life together. It has been nice to get that backstory. I do appreciate that, but to be honest, I definitely prefer like the current day scenes of her being at the campsite, her talking to Commander Rip, and her going to visit the other women, and just like all of those current scenes are much more interesting to me. But I do appreciate the backstory and I think it's definitely needed. So it's not like a negative, but when we get those backstories, I'm kind of like, okay, I'm happy to learn this information, but I just want to go back to what's actually going on. Oh, and then we also have Queen Melina's POV, which is interesting. So she is trying to take over what is rightfully hers. I'm on her side. I don't know if she's a good person, but as of right now, I completely understand her feelings. I feel like her castle and her power was ripped out from under her by Midas, and I'm ready to see her be a baddie, honestly. I hope she's a good person. I hope that I'm not like rooting for someone who's terrible and evil, but I feel like she's a very interesting character and I'm excited to see more of her political schemings. So those are my thoughts on Glint so far. I'm liking it. I'm enjoying the tension that is being built and Aaron kind of being thrown off by Commander Rip and his personality and the questions he's asking, and also just his general presence and beauty, I think really throws her off, and it's just been super fun. So I'm either gonna finish this book today or tomorrow. I don't know. I'll see if I can finish it today, but if not, definitely tomorrow, and I will let you guys know what I think of it as I keep reading. Hi friends, let's talk about Glint, book 2. I have, of course, finished this book. When I talked to you guys, I was already 50% of the way through that book, and I did end up finishing it that day, and I loved it. This book was so great. I also gave it 4.5 stars, and I loved how this progressed the story. I loved seeing Auren really start to realize how poorly she has been treated, how she has been manipulated, and the revelations that she came to in this book were just so good. You know, the first part of this book, really the first like 50%, definitely had some slow moving moments, but the ending of this book is chaos and drama and so incredible. I absolutely loved it. That is what bumped it up to a 4.5 star for me. I was kind of thinking maybe this would just be a 4 star, which is still an amazing rating, but how could I not give this book a 4.5 star with that ending? The reveal of Rip and King Ravenger, aka Slade, being the same person. I did remember that, but the reveal was wonderful. Seeing kind of the political scheming of King Ravenger with King Midas was very appreciated, and the kind of first showdown between Auren and King Midas, where she thinks that she's gonna go back to the Fifth Kingdom to be with King Midas, and that he is gonna let her be free because she's grown and she's realizing that she wants more in life, and she's thinking, oh, this is gonna be great. King Midas will totally understand, and he did not understand. As expected, he tried to put her back in the cage and he was unsuccessful because Auren is not going to take it anymore. And I was so happy for her. I am so glad that she finally saw how terrible and ugly King Midas is, and that now we're going to do something about it in book 3, which we will talk about in a second. But this book had such a strong ending and was really, really great. Oh, and I do want to correct on the record, in my last clip, I was like, oh my god, Queen Melina, she's a baddie. I hope she didn't do anything wrong. I like her. Absolutely strike that from the record. I do not like this woman. She organized the Red Raiders to go and get Auren and the other saddles and kidnap them. That was the most diabolical reveal. Completely forgot about that. That is one of the most evil things that has happened in this series. The fact that she sent them to get Auren and the guards and the saddles, knowing what they were capable of. That is some pure evil, dark, just horrific planning, and she is terrible. I'm not on her side anymore. She's with King Midas now. I was shocked when I was reading that. I was like, oh my god, she organized that. She planned for that to happen, knowing what would happen to those girls. She is dead to me. I do appreciate her like political scheming and the role that she plays in this book, but as a character, I'm not rooting for her anymore. I am praying for her downfall in this series, and hopefully we will get that. But it's so funny that I said, hopefully I don't regret it. And then like, just like 100 pages later, we got that reveal, and I was like, of course you're a terrible person. And I thought she was just gonna be kind of the scorned wife and try to get King Midas back, but she is actually a terribly dark-hearted evil person in this series. So we have multiple villains in King Midas and Queen Melina, notably. But overall, this book was great. It's funny, this book like doesn't have a lot going on in it for the majority, but once I finished it, I realized how vital this book is to Auren's journey. It's more of a character-driven story and building the romance between Auren and Slade, but I do think that this book is really important. And I think the first time I read this book, I didn't feel that as much. I was kind of like, nothing really happened, which is true, but also not, because so much happened with Auren's growth and she just became a different character. She really shed a lot of her preconceived notions about what her life should be like and how she's been treated. And so I think this book is really significant. So I loved it. And then moving on to the girl boss of the Plated Prisoner series. Everyone loves Gleam. People have been telling me when they saw that I was finished with Glint, they were like, bestie, get ready. Gleam is that girl in the series. She really is. And I have to agree, so far. I am on page 218 and I'm loving this book. This book is all about Auren finally saying no, finally putting her foot down and kind of psychologically warring with King Midas and saying, I'm not going to be a caged bird anymore. I want to have freedom. I want to be my own person. And she's withholding her magic, her gold power, in order to get what she wants. But of course, King Midas, he's working his way around this. I just got to the part where he says that he has Digby and he's kind of holding Digby over Auren's head, saying, well, if you want him to be safe, you better do what I say. And I don't know where that's gonna go, but seeing the two of them kind of go toe to toe, it's been really interesting, and I'm just so proud of Auren. I am so incredibly attached to her. She's so lovable and amazing, and I just feel like this book is going to be her her diva moment, and I am ready for it. Also, love the fact that the 4th army is going to be staying at the 5th Kingdom because there's like a ball coming up or something. King Midas kind of had to let King Ravager and his crew stay, which means that we have some lovely interactions between Arryn and Slade. I'm gonna honestly switch between calling him King Ravager, Rip, and Slade just at any time for no reason. I will pick one or the other, but I love seeing the two of them interacting with one another, running into each other. It really, there hasn't been like too much between them right now, but I know that in this book, their romance does like heat up a little bit and things become a lot more clear between them. So I'm really excited to see that. But so far, I'm just really enjoying this book. I also just love seeing Arryn like walking around the castle and exploring and interacting with different people. It's just such a breath of fresh air from the Arryn that we know, which is really great. Also wanted to give a special shout out to my girl Rissa. I love her. I really hope that I get to see more of her as the series goes on. She saw Arryn using her gold magic in the last book, and so Rissa was like, hey, I see that you have magic. I'm gonna keep your secret, but in exchange for my silence, I want you to give me some gold so that I can pay off my debts to King Midas and get out of here. I don't want to be a royal saddle anymore. I want to run away. And so she's kind of concocting her own plan of escape, which is really cool. And I'm just rooting for her. I love her. I think that she has so much heart in this story. She's like the big sister to a lot of the saddles, and I'm just excited to see her succeed. I hope that I get to see her succeed. If something happens to her, I will not recover because I just see so much quiet strength in her, and I really like how her character is written. So I hope to see more good things for her. That is where we are at, besties. I am, I don't know, what is that? Maybe a third-ish of the way through Gleam. Really excited, and yeah, I will keep you guys updated on my thoughts as I read more. Hello, my loves. Let's talk about Gleam. I am currently on page 664, so I have 100 pages left, and this book is so good. Oh my god, I am obsessed. This book is approaching one of my favorite books of all time level. When I read this book for the first time, I gave it 4 stars, which is a very great rating, but I'm kind of judging myself for that because this book deserves no less than 5 stars. I haven't finished it, so unless something happens in the ending that I think is executed very poorly or something like that, maybe I'll change my mind. But this is perfection. This is fantasy romance perfection. This is like the blueprint of a well-executed fantasy romance book in a series. It honestly gives me the same feeling that A Court of Mist and Fury gave me. They're very different. I'm not saying like plot-wise or anything, but just how A Court of Mist and Fury is kind of the standout of that series. I feel like so many people just think that that is the best book in the series, and I personally think A Court of Mist and Fury is like the blueprint for fantasy romance. I think it's like the best to have ever done it. But this book is approaching that level. I just think it is so well done. Everything that is happening, one, with our character growth, everything is coming to a head. We're seeing such a change in Arryn, and I'm just so proud of her and rooting for her. Oh my god, the things that she has accomplished and the personal growth that she has had in this book, I'm just like, I'm clapping and cheering for her on the sidelines. I love her, and I'm just so happy to see all that she has done. Looking back at book 1 to now, she's just such a different person. And then the romance. Okay, Slade is everything. He is everything. I liked Slade the first time around, but I was not like, oh my god, Slade is a book boyfriend. Oh my god, Slade is this Bat Boy level, this Rowan Whitethorn level. No, Slade is absolutely, he's there. He's with them. Like, he is such an amazing romance hero. He is this like dark and tough and has this very scary magic, and he's so interesting and very wicked to those who do him wrong, but he is so good with Arryn, and he loves her so much, and just their dynamic is everything. Like, it is so well done, and I think that Raven Kennedy writes romance so good. I also feel like, and this is kind of a strange thing to say, but the first like spicy scene between Arryn and Slade, I think it was like very well written, which is something that I never really think about. I feel like a lot of spicy scenes, it's all kind of the same to me, honestly, but I feel that this was very well written, and you can tell that she really thought about how the scene was going to be laid out and what the reader would be imagining, and she just built up so much tension in the scene itself, as if we haven't had so much tension for the last like 2 books, and then also in this book leading up to it. Like, everything was just so well thought out, and I don't know if that's like a strange thing to say, but I truly think this is like a very well written smut scene. So Raven Kennedy, 5 gold shiny stars for that scene, but also for the entire book, because the entire book is so well done. I'm blown away. I'm genuinely so blown away by this book. I love this book so much, and this is just making me like, I don't know, I'm just so happy when I'm reading it, even though there's like bad things going on, but I'm just so engaged and in love. And there is something about Raven Kennedy's writing that is very beautiful and lyrical at times, but also I think is very approachable, and I'm imagining this story so much, and all of the scenes and the emotion I think is depicted really well. I have absolutely no notes at all. I literally can't even put into words how much I love this book, and it just kind of crept up on me. I knew that this was the book that I think a lot of people say is their favorite in the series. I'm actually kind of scared to go on to Glow because I've heard that it's not as good as Gleam, and like it's kind of a bit of a letdown, or the series loses steam maybe at that point. I really hope that that's not true, but I have had a couple of friends tell me that. But I'm hopeful that I will continue to just thoroughly enjoy the world and the story, and this book will still just remain like a shining light in the series. Whether the next few books are as good or not, I love Gleam, and I think that it deserves to be top of the pyramid. She's everything. I am so excited to read the ending of this book. I do know how this book ends. I do know the big thing that happens at the end, but getting there is going to be really fun to kind of remember how all that goes down. And then we'll be heading into Glow, which is a book that I have not read. So we're finally out of my rereads, and I'll be going fresh into a book that I have no idea what is going to happen. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to finish Gleam right now. I have like an hour left of the audiobook. And by the way, the audiobooks are so good. I don't know what it is about these narrators and their voices, but I wish that they would narrate all of my favorite books. I love them so much, and I think that they do the voices of the characters so well, and they just draw you in so much. So I definitely recommend the audiobooks if you like listening to audiobooks. They do a really great job, and they just feel like these characters. That's really all I have for you guys. I'm not okay in the best way because this book is so good, and the romance is just like, oh my god. I'm like, I have all the feels, and I love Slade so much, and I can't believe that I ever doubted that this book is a 5-star. Like, honestly, I don't know who that was who read this book over 2 years ago. I don't know her. She seems nice, but I think she was a little misguided because this book is true perfection for me. So I'm so happy. I'm so excited that I love this book as much as I do. And honestly, the whole series so far has been really great. So I have no complaints. I hope that I still continue to like it with Glow and Gold and Goldfinch, but we will get there. I'm gonna go finish this book, and I will talk to you guys after and give you all my final thoughts. Friends, I have a confession. The clip that you just saw was filmed 2 months ago. That clip was filmed at the end of September. Hi, it is December 4th. How are you doing? Oh my god, 2 months have gone by, but we're back. But I'm really excited to be back in it. I have obviously finished Gleam, and I have started Glow. So we're gonna talk about that really quickly. Gleam, I'm gonna keep it brief because in watching my last clip, I feel like I definitely gave a good, kind of well-rounded overall review of how I feel about the book, even when I hadn't finished it yet. But of course I knew where it was gonna go. And so I'll just say I absolutely loved this book. This is a 5-star read for me. This is my favorite book in the series. This just feels like, I mean, I haven't read the rest of the book, so I can't say this totally, but this feels like the book of the series. Honestly, it felt to me like the A Court of Mist and Fury of the Plated Prisoner series. If you've read ACOTAR, hopefully you kind of know why I feel that way, but that book is so transformative and just takes the series in a different direction, and the romance is like everything, and that is what this book felt like it was to me. It was the solid kind of pillar. This is where we are going to get our big romance moments. We're going to get our really great character growth, and we're going to make very big changes with King Midas, aka he's dead, which is amazing. I loved reading his demise all over again. Truly, it was wonderful. And Auren, god, her development in the series has been amazing. That is such a standout for the series. Thinking back to Auren in chapter 1 of Guild and where we are at now, she has grown so much, and so much of that has been because of her, and it's always been inside of her, but she has just had some help along the way, but really came into her own and pushed back. And I think that she is such a great FMC and such a great kind of role model of finding your power, and the strength has lived in you all along, and just I just love her so much. And now that Gleam is done, I am moving on to Glow, Gold, and Goldfinch, which are books that I have not read. So as I've said, Guild, Glint, and Gleam were rereads. I knew what was going to happen, but moving forward, I have no idea where the story is going, and I'm really looking forward to that. I'm very curious where the story is going to go next. Here's my thing. Okay, I'm 319 pages into Glow. It's going well. I'm really liking it. I am a little hesitant about our new villain. Our new big bad is seemingly Queen Kyla. Queen Kyla is from another kingdom. She was going to marry Midas, and they were kind of gonna secure political alliances. But as Midas is no longer with us, she is at a bit of a crossroads, and she understands now that Arin has this power that's gonna be a big problem for her in her future plans and securing the kingdoms that she wants. So it seems like Kyla is our new villain, and I just don't know. Here's the thing about King Midas. He is a great villain, and that does not mean that I like him. I want to make that so clear, but he is a believable, genuine villain. The stakes are high when he is involved. He causes a lot of destruction and pain and fear and is a true, real threat to not only our main character Arin, but everyone. And so he makes the story feel very intense and, like I said, really high stakes. When you kind of get rid of the first real genuine villain and then, okay, now we're moving on to another villain, I hope that the stakes with Queen Kyla feel high and not just like, oh, well, we're putting in a new villain because we need a new villain for the rest of the series. Like, I'm ready to be scared of Queen Kyla, okay? Like, that is what I want. But do you guys know what I mean? It's kind of like when you replace one villain with another. Well, are we just, putting this person in that spot? Or does their story really mean more for the plot overall as a whole? Does it make sense that she's now stepping in as the villain? And is she going to be as formidable to Arin and Slade and everyone in the kingdoms? And what is going to be her great power and her great thing that she's holding over everyone? So that is something I'm a little hesitant about, but I want Kyla to scare me. Like, I'm ready for it, but I will not get ahead of myself too much. Let's talk about Glow. I'm really liking this. I'm really, really enjoying it. I am so in love with this world and the characters. We have more POVs, which is wonderful. We have Osric and Rissa, who seem like they're gonna be a little romantic dynamic, which I love. Osric is just like such a brute. And so not a gentleman and like not charming, but so charming at the same time. And I think him and Rissa make like a very just like hot and fiery couple. I love Rissa so much. I've loved her from day one. She is just a character that I feel just so much for, and I just want her to have the world. So I really hope that Osric is going to give it to her. And oh my God, can we talk about the reunion scene between Digby and Arin? Screw the romantic reunion scenes, okay? Digby and Arin's like paternal figure daughter reunion scene that had me in tears. I love Digby so much. He might be like top 3 favorite characters for me in the series. If anything happens to him, I am going to freak out. So far, he's been good. I mean, he's, a cat with 9 lives. Things have been going on, but he is still here. And their conversation about him saying, I should have done more to save you. I should have been there for you more. I wanted to retire, but I didn't leave because I didn't trust anyone else around you. Like, I was so emotional about that. And I just really like his presence in the book and in Arin's life. I think that he is so needed. And I think that he is kind of the closest thing she has to family. I mean, I know she's creating this found family, but Digby has really been there through it all. So seeing him still in the book, still kicking, still breathing, I am so happy about that. That's kind of where I'm at with Glow. Everyone's still kind of processing the aftermath of what happened at the end of Gleam. Arin is definitely struggling with what does this all mean for her, her power. Everyone knows about it now. Slade and Arin have been a little touch and go, but I feel like they are kind of coming back to each other, and I really liked that as well. Oh, there is, oh my God, I have so much to say. I've been filming for so long already, but there was a scene in this book that I really, really liked. Arin and Slade having a conversation about how Slade did not come for Arin when she was missing, and she had been drugged by Midas and was in a cell, and the ending of Gleam, it was really, really chaotic, and Slade did not come for her. He did not come save her. They had a very honest conversation with each other about like, what happened? Why weren't you there? And really Slade, I think, owned his mistakes, and obviously he didn't do it on purpose. He was not aware, and there were too many things at play. But I just liked that that conversation happened, because I feel like in so many other fantasy romances, number one, the hero would have just always been there no matter what, which is great, but like probably not super realistic. Or number two, I feel like they wouldn't have had such a frank conversation about it, and it would have just kind of been brushed over. I like that Arin and Slade were like, hey, we kind of have a little bit of an issue here between us, and I could have died, you weren't there, and I understand why you weren't there, but you also have to understand how terrifying that was for me, and you not being there was rough. And like, we still love each other, we're still mates and all of that. That is such a cool conversation to put in a book, because Raven Kennedy didn't have to do that. We could have just breezed right by it and he could have been like, I'm so sorry I wasn't there, and she could have been like, oh my god, it's okay, like I know, or we could have come up with a reason, or he could have been kidnapped himself or whatever, and that's why he couldn't go save her. But I just liked that. I liked that we had that conversation about these characters are not perfect and they are flawed and things should have gone differently, whether there were external factors at play or not. I really liked that they acknowledged that that did not go the way that either of them had hoped. I think that that added like some reality to this fae fantasy romance, which we don't see too often. So Raven Kennedy, snaps all around for that. Those are my thoughts on Glow so far. I am going to continue making my way through this book, and I will keep you guys updated sooner than 2 months from now. Oh my god, imagine if the next clip I was like, hi, it's February. I will not do that to you guys. I'm probably gonna finish this book over the next few days. Lachlan is actually coming over tomorrow, and I'm not gonna be reading at all while she's here, so we'll probably talk next week and I'll give you guys more updates on Glow when I pick up a book, because we're just going to be focusing on bestie time for the next few days. I will talk to you guys soon with an update on Glow. All right, besties, let's discuss Glow a little bit more. So I am currently on page 742. I have barely anything left of this book, and I am still enjoying this. I really, really love our characters. I think that there has been wonderful romantic development in this book, and I've also really liked Osric and Rissa's little situation, and overall the characters have really been shining in this book for me, so no complaints there. But I feel like we have kind of our first criticism corner. I mean, that's not true. I've definitely criticized earlier books for sure, but this I think is the first book that I'm not like, oh my god, is this gonna be a 5-star? Like, I can definitely tell that we're in 4-star territory, which is wonderful. 4 stars is a great rating, but there's just something about this book. I was gonna say it's giving filler. And that, like, I don't want to say this is like a total filler book, because calling something a filler book is just like so negative, I feel like, and I don't feel negative about this book. I just feel like basically nothing's happening and we are very slowly working through things that I feel like could have happened a little bit quicker. I feel like we're kind of setting things up. We are setting up the next kind of arc in the plot line for Arryn, for what's going to happen with Queen Kyla, for what is going to happen just in general for all of the kingdoms. Now Slade's kingdom is kind of being threatened by all the others because Queen Kyla has turned basically everyone against Arryn, and subsequently Slade, and subsequently the Fourth Kingdom. Things aren't great, and that is definitely an interesting plot point, but I feel like we're kind of taking a long time to get where we need to. And I also feel like this book is serving as a way to establish a lot of things, establish a lot of history, establish a lot of lore, kind of backtrack a little bit on some of our characters. We've learned so much about Slade in this book, oh my god, which we need, and I love Slade, so I'm not unhappy to hear about his past and how he came to be. Hearing the backstory with his brother Riot and his mom and all of that is important, but this is an almost 800-page book, so it's just kind of a lot of that type of exposition and less plot moving forward and what are we gonna do next. Definitely feeling different about Glow than I felt about Gild, Glint, and Gleam. So far, those books are not without their faults, but I think I felt very excited by the action and what's gonna happen next, and the stakes are so high. Things in Glow, I think, are moving a bit slow for me, so I'm hoping that changes. I hope things kind of pick up. I don't want it to come off like I don't like this book, because I'm honestly loving it. I really love these characters. I think I'm so invested in them and the world that it would be hard for me to give a bad rating at this point, because I do just love them so much. But this doesn't quite feel like a 5-star. This doesn't give me the same feeling that Gleam gave me. And I don't know, I just kind of feel like nothing has happened. And like, sometimes that's cool. Sometimes just vibing out with our characters is fun, but for 800 pages, it is a lot. So I think maybe the pacing of the series could be a little off, and maybe that's something I'm noticing. I'll be curious to see how Gold goes for sure. I don't know, I mean, I'm curious to see how Goldfinch goes as well. I'm excited to finish the whole series, but this book as of right now is slow. It definitely feels like the slowest in the series, which is interesting because the second book in the series is also kind of slow, but our two main characters were not like together yet, so it didn't even matter that nothing was really going on, because we had the palpable tension between Arryn and Slade. But I am still liking it. I am still enjoying the series overall, and I'm so invested in our characters. Those are my thoughts on Glow. I'm definitely gonna finish this today. I have literally, like, I don't know, I think even less than 50 pages until this is over, and then we will be moving on to Gold, which is very, very exciting. So I will talk to you guys once I have finished Glow and started Gold. Hello friends, how are we doing? I am here to give you an update on Glow and Gold. I am on the second to last book in the series. We are chugging right along, but first let me give you my final thoughts on book number 4, Glow. This was good. I enjoyed myself, but it's definitely not my favorite in the series. I think as of right now, this might be my least favorite, but I still love the characters and there were still a lot of amazing moments in this book, but I definitely feel that we are slowing down the pacing a bit in the series, like the momentum and the excitement and the action and just a lot of character growth and changes I think occurred in the first 3 books. And this book felt very focused on the relationship development between Arin and Slade, which I'm not gonna be mad at. It was very delightful, as well as a little bit of Rissa and Osric and their kind of little flirtation that they're doing. But as far as the overall, how are we all gonna have a happily ever after at the end of this series, we didn't make too much progress there. And then the ending, oh my god, the ending was really great. Arin went through a rip in the sky in order to escape, and she is now MIA. I've started Gold, so I obviously know where she is, but finishing this book was really wild. We have a separation between our 2 main characters, and normally I'm not super obsessed with that plot line. I just feel like it becomes very predictable in like fantasy romance series. I feel like there's always a book in a fantasy romance series where after the 2 main characters have like said they love each other and, you know, done the deed, everything's cool, everything's happy, everything's great. Well, no, because there's more books in the series, so they are going to get separated. So it is a little bit predictable. However, I am really liking the way that things are going in Gold. So before I get to that, I just want to say this is a 4-star read for me. I really liked it. I do think that it was slower for sure though, compared to the first 3 books in the series. So now we're on to Gold. I am 44% of the way done with this book. I'm reading it on my Kindle, so I don't know exactly what page I am on, but this book is actually really doing it for me. I do have a couple of things that I'll talk about, but I really like the direction that the story is going. When I first started, as I said, I find the separation of the main characters in a fantasy romance series to be predictable, so I was kind of like, okay, like here we go. What is this gonna be like? But we are really taking the opportunity to world build in this book, which I really appreciate. Arin has ended up in Anwin, which is the Fae kingdom. She has met a bunch of Fae. She has found out that she is the ancestor of Sarah Turley, who also fell through a rip in the sky and ended up saving Anwin from a tyrannical monarchy. And wouldn't you know it, Anwin is experiencing another tyrannical monarchy when Arin shows up, and everyone sees her grand entrance into their world as a sign of things are going to get better. Hopefully she can take over as the new queen. She wants nothing to do with that, but I personally think she'll probably end up being the queen. I don't know. I honestly don't know how the series is gonna end. I'll talk about that more in a second, but everyone really sees her as an emblem of like, we can do this, guys. Rebellion groups are gonna start up again. People are really recharged by seeing her, and the current Fae king is absolutely terrible and treats the Fae horribly and is very prejudiced against Orions and any Fae that have any Orion lineage, which a lot of them do. So Arin being an Anwin has been a really great thing for those people. And I've liked seeing this world. I've liked seeing these people and the magic there. The Fae are really interesting. And Arin has been doing a little bit more growth in this book, which is also really great to see. As I have said a million times in this vlog, the character development in this book is actually very good, particularly with our female main character, Arin. She has changed so much, and when she first arrives in Anwin, she's like, I'm so sorry, like it's cool to be here, but I need to get back to Slade. I don't really care about anything. But then she grows and she sees, no, I can do something about it, and I'm here for a reason. Let me help these people. If they see me as an emblem of hope, I should do something. I should be strong. I'm powerful now. I'm not under the thumb of Midas. I am not trapped by anyone. I am not owned by anyone. I can help people. So I really liked seeing that. I liked seeing her step into her power and be the Fae that she is. And then Slade. Oh my god. Slade is amazing. I've been saying this throughout the whole video, but Slade is so, like, he is not like other male main characters in fantasy romances. And the reason why Slade is separated from Arin, big sad boy hours. And he was searching for her, trying to create a rip in the world again, but his magic is, I think, like at a low source. He's like super exhausted from creating the rip to help her escape back in Glow. So he needs time, I think, to build up his power again. And because he cannot get to Arryn, he's very upset by this, obviously. And so what does he do? He goes on a rampage throughout Oria and destroys, rots from the inside out, every single person who has wronged Arryn in her life. He goes to the kingdom, I think it was Second Kingdom, which is where she landed first when she was a child, when she was forced into sex work. He goes and destroys that entire seedy part of town. He goes to every single kingdom and every single person who has ever wronged Arryn in any way. He finds the Red Raid pirates from book 1 and destroys all of them. He destroys the drug trade in Oria because that's obviously a huge thing that affected Arryn, as well as the other saddles, and he knows how much that meant to Arryn, so he destroys it completely. He kidnaps Queen Kyla's brother, Manu, who was a huge part in Arryn obviously being taken, Rissa being stabbed. Slade is going on a rampage, and the reason why he is not like other male main characters, why I say that, is because in every single fantasy romance book, the male main character says, oh, I would bring the world down for you. I'll hurt anyone who hurts you. Oh, you've been treated poorly in your past. Well, I'm gonna make those people pay. I would do anything. I'm going to destroy any single person who has even looked at you wrong. And they never do. They never do. Not really. Like, maybe they'll do a fraction of it, but usually the female main character is like, no, don't do that. Like, let's be better than them. Let's be above them. Slade is like, no, I'm not gonna take the high road. I am taking the lowest road possible, as he should. He is actually going around and burning the world down for her. He is going around taking out every single person who has ever wronged Arryn. What a king. There was also a scene where he freed a bunch of animals who were in cages and being abused, and I was like, oh my god, ASPCA, Humane Society ally. Like, I loved that. He freed like this giant snow leopard situation. He freed timberwings, which I think are kind of like they're these big birds of some kind. He freed like a monkey. He freed, I think, like wolves. I love it. Slade is an animal lover, confirmed. So I am enjoying this book, I think a bit more than Glow. I do still have a couple of things that I'm kind of like, I don't really know how I feel about yet. Number one, Queen Kyla. Where is she? I thought that she was like the big bad in this book, you know, for the latter half of the series. And I mean, she is. I don't know how this series is going to end. How is Oria going to end up? How is Anwin going to end up? Is Arryn going to end up living in Anwin? Is she going to end up living in Oria? Are the kingdoms still going to be separated? Are all the powers that be going to still be at large? Like, I don't know, but we have not seen Queen Kyla, I think, at all in this book. I think she's hiding from Slade, which, like, smart woman, I would be too. But I'm curious how we are going to wrap up all of these threats to Arryn and to Slade and his kingdom and fix everything that has happened since Midas's death at the end of book 3. No progress has been made really since that. Like, everything is still split up, everything is destroyed. People still think that Arryn stole Midas's magic. They don't believe that she is actually the one who has the gold power. So as of right now, we don't really have any progress on that. So I'm really curious how that is all going to end up. And then also Queen Melina. What are we doing with Queen Melina? I feel like at this point, I don't know what her purpose in this book is. She got duped by some fae. They used her in order to rebuild the bridge. And then she became a prisoner, but then this assassin was somehow able to get into her prison in, I think, the 7th Kingdom dungeons. And he freed her, and they're running back to the 6th Kingdom because she's had a change of heart, and she's like, I want to help the people. So we're having a character growth moment for her because she's been a very selfish person and didn't really care about the people, but she's starting to realize, I need to care about people. I still don't like her, and I don't really care about a redemption for her, because the moment that I realized, oh, she is the one who sent the Red Raid pirates to get Arryn and the saddles, that's pretty irredeemable for me. So I'm not really rooting for her, and maybe that's why I'm having a hard time with her POV chapters, because I'm just like, I don't really care how you end up, because you knowingly caused extreme harm to the women in this book, and I just, like, I can't I don't know. I can't let that one go. She is having a bit of a romance with this nameless assassin, which is fine. He's very like rough and a brute and kind of ruffles her feathers because she's still trying to act all proper. And he's like, girl, we are running through the snow. Like, you're not a queen anymore. Like, you don't seem like a queen to me. Let's just let go of a lot of the pretenses. But there's definitely a romance happening between them, a bit of an opposites attract. So I'm really, really wondering what her final role in the series is going to be. Every time we get to a Queen Melina chapter, I'm like, okay, what are we doing? What is the end game here? Obviously, I assume she's going to be important to the final ending. I'm actually really looking forward to a Melina and Arin scene. Like, I'm sure we're going to get one. Maybe not in this book, maybe in Goldfinch. We will have those two characters reunited because they have not seen each other since Guild, the first book. And I would be really curious to see Arin like just tear Melina a new one. Maybe turn her into a gold statue. I don't know. I would like to see it. But overall, Gold is going really well. I am very much enjoying myself. I am reading it a little bit slower because I don't have the audiobooks for Gold or Goldfinch. I think this one comes out sometime in January and then Goldfinch doesn't come out until March, and this video will definitely be up way before March. So I am reading a little bit slower, but I'm kind of enjoying physically reading, honestly. Even though I do love the audiobooks, the narrators are so good. Physically reading on my Kindle has been enjoyable. Those are my thoughts on Gold. I'm going to keep reading. I will talk to you guys when I have more to say. Okay, friends, I have finished the second to last book in the Plated Prisoner series. How exciting. I have to say, the second half of this book absolutely blew me away. Oh my god. The first half of the book was good. It was very, very good. We had Arin exploring, world building, getting to know Anwin, and then we had Slade on the Reputation World Tour. But the second half of this book was so action-packed and insane. Slade's father, first of all, I kind of thought that he was dead. I don't know if I missed that, but I definitely thought that he was dead. He is absolutely not. He is being a menace in Anwin. And oh my god, when Arin realized who he was, I had chills. I was like, there is no way. This is insane. That whole scene, that rescue mission, I was so here for. I love a rescue mission in a fantasy book. Always, always a top tier scene for me. Okay, and then can we talk about Melina's character growth? Still not my fave, but I will always give it to Raven Kennedy, as I have learned throughout this series. She knows how to write growth, she knows how to write a character arc, and Melina is actually changing as a person. I feel like she has reflected a bit. Hopefully she'll be reflecting more, and I feel like she is doing things altruistically, which I feel like in the past she would have never done anything altruistically, but she is truly trying to help people. She makes that giant like ice wall to protect Sixth Kingdom from the Fae. They don't even want her to do it. They're all pretty mad at her, but she does it from the goodness of her heart to try to make up for all of the terrible things that she has done. And those things may never be able to be made up for, but I do appreciate her effort, and I'm finding her character to be definitely more interesting. Her romance with Domik, it's fine. I don't really feel a whole lot there. I don't really care about their romance, honestly, but I did like seeing that we didn't just all of a sudden make her a good person, or like in one chapter she decided, you know what, I was kind of bad, let me make up for it. There were pages and pages and pages of her going through the steps to reflect on her actions and want to be a different person, which I really appreciate. And then let's talk about Queen Kyla. I definitely thought that she was going to be the villain in this book. Like, I thought she was kind of gonna take the place of King Midas, but I feel like that's kind of not what's happening. And now I'm wondering, did I overthink her role in this book? Because she wasn't super important in this book. She was definitely around, and the standoff that Melina and Kyla had was definitely interesting, but I don't think she's the villain. So maybe I really misread that, but that's where I thought things were going, and I thought she was gonna be the next big bad. But I feel like we just have big bads all over the place. So we'll see how Kyla ends up at the end of this series. She doesn't really seem to be much of a match for Slade. So maybe she's just gonna be like, you know what, never mind. I was gonna wreak havoc on everything, but actually Slade is terrifying. I'm gonna get out of here. So with all of that being said, I am giving Gold a 4.5 star. I really, really loved this. I seriously thought that this was going to be kind of another fillery book, maybe giving Glow energy, but I think it was better than Glow. I really liked it. Definitely the second half was so action-packed, and the plot twists were just absolutely incredible. So I really liked this, which means, you guys, can you believe it? We're on the final book of the Plated Prisoner series, Goldfinch by Raven Kennedy. Why did I just say who the author was. We know this, Rachel. We don't need to say that every time. We are on the final book. I can't believe we're here. I'm so excited to read this. I'm nervous. I love these characters so much. They mean the world to me. I've really fallen in love with them. We've got a lot of work to do to tie up the loose ends here. I think one of the things that I'm most excited about for this book, number one, obviously the Arin and Slade reunion. I hope it is dramatic and emotional and romantic and wonderful. And then also Osric and Rissa. I feel like we're finally going to see them have a chance to talk about their feelings, maybe have a little spicy time, who knows? But I'm looking forward to seeing their relationship develop more. And I'm just so curious how things are going to end up. Really wondering where are Slade and Arin going to end up? What's going to happen with Osric and Rissa? What's going to happen with Riot? I actually feel like I saw Raven Kennedy say that she's gonna write a spin-off book for Riot. I don't know if that's true, but I feel like I saw that on her Instagram. Where is everyone gonna end up? That's really what I wanna know. So I'm gonna go start the very last book in the Plated Prisoner series, and I will talk to you guys when I have thoughts. Hello besties. Okay, first check-in for the final book in the Plated Prisoner series, Goldfinch. Let's get into it. I'm 25% of the way through this book. I am planning on just like reading all day long, so I have no idea where I'm going to end up today, but let's talk about all of the things that have happened so far in Goldfinch. So number one, Arin's POVs are super chaotic and very disoriented because she's really disoriented. I love the way that Raven Kennedy is writing her chapters. She is totally unaware of what is going on. She's getting pieces of like, I think I know who this person is, or I'm having memories, but because of what Slade's dad did to her, her memory is totally messed up and she's really struggling. But because of her work on her magic and her strength, she is fighting back. She is definitely more with it than I think they expected. So her chapters I think are well written just from a like POV perspective of how out of it she is. It feels a little disorienting to read her chapters. I love that. And then Slade. Okay, so Slade is on his way to Seventh Kingdom because he found out the bridge has been remade and he's gonna go get Arin that way. But on his way, he ended up stopping in Sixth Kingdom and he and Melina met. And I know that they're in the same series, but the vibe of their meeting was very That's So Sweet Life of Hannah Montana for me. Like it felt so weird to be like, oh my god, Slade and Melina are talking. You guys know each other? What? And like, yeah, I mean, they do know each other. They know of each other, but I think this is the first time that they're truly face-to-face talking, and it's so weird but cool to see them talking. It's just been like a really intense scene and just so interesting to see them interact. I love that we're getting that. And now Slade is leaving Sixth Kingdom. He did help out the survivors. He killed all the Fae in Sixth Kingdom and kind of helped set them all up to be safe, but he told Melina like, okay, I'm leaving now. I'm gonna go to Seventh Kingdom because I want to cross the bridge, and Melina was like, I'm going with you. I want to go to Seventh Kingdom. I want to try to do whatever I can to stop the Fae, use my ice magic, do whatever I have to do. So she's going with Slade. That is just so crazy to me that these two characters are like, they're not buds, they're not friends. Slade hates her, honestly, and definitely contemplated ending her on the spot, but it is just very cool to see the two of them interacting. And Melina has had growth. She has had major growth. I think the way I've really been thinking back to early Melina, because we are having scenes in Highbell Castle right now, and she's kind of reflecting on her early time and how poorly she treated Arin and the Saddles. She had that scene with Mist. Mist unfortunately passed away. Really sad for Mist. I had a feeling as soon as she said, like several books ago, that she was pregnant with Midas's baby, that there's no way that she's gonna have a happy ending. Melina being in the castle again, she's really reflecting on her behavior in the early books, and it's just really cool. I love characters reflecting. I love seeing these connections that have been built since book one and really having concrete proof of a character growing. So yeah, the two of them and Dominic are going to get on some timber wings and head to Seventh Kingdom, and just what a time to be alive. Slade and Melina are, number one, speaking to each other face to face, and number two, are going to both head in the same direction and kind of have a similar cause. They'll obviously branch off from each other at some point, but it's just so weird but cool at the same time. So those are my thoughts. I'm really liking Goldfinch. I'm so excited to see what's going to happen. I have no idea how Arin is going to get in a better place mentally, physically, just everything. It's very concerning because so much is wrong in her situation, but I'm really excited to see how Raven Kennedy writes that. I'm really liking this book. I can't believe it's the final one. I'm gonna keep reading. I will let you guys know more thoughts soon. besties, we have made it. I finished Goldfinch, and thus I have finished the Plated Prisoner series, 5 months in the making. Oh my god, I cannot believe that I'm here. I feel very bittersweet about being done with the series. These characters are very special. The world was so cool. The series had a lot of highs and lows for me, but overall, I walk away from the series really, really loving our characters. Goldfinch is a book that I have a lot of mixed feelings about. Overall, I do like this book. I think that's because I'm just so deep in it, and as I've said, like, I love Arin, I love Slade, I love Rissa, I love Osric, I love Digby. I am Digby's #1 fan. And of course, I am happy to see our characters get their happily ever after, but there were some things in this book that I was a bit disappointed by. First, let's talk about the things that I liked. #1, Melina. I loved Melina's final scene. I thought her death was very poetic, very beautiful. I was crying, okay? Melina's #1 hater here throughout the entire series. I was actually really touched by her self-sacrifice. Dominic going with her, that was crazy. I did look through Goodreads after I finished this book, and I saw a lot of people were upset that Melina died, and that's kind of how her story ended. But I don't know, I liked it. I thought that it was a bold move, and I think when so few of the main characters in this series have died and a lot of people just ended up being okay, I think we need some of those shocking deaths, and while it may not be what Melina deserves, of course, I think her self-sacrifice, her death, it seemed like she was very much at peace with it. Her and Dominic going together, she set Aurea right, and I think that that was a very great thing for her to do, and I was really touched by that scene. I thought it was beautiful, and I actually felt very emotional about her death and was sad to see her go. Another thing I liked, Arin and Slade's reunion. It was so good. I knew that Raven Kennedy was going to give us an amazing reunion between these two characters. I was so emotional when they were finally back together, their auras like combining, their bond finally forming. That was really beautifully written. I can imagine it in my mind so clearly. It was so satisfying after them being separated for such a long time. I also really connected to Riot in this book. Throughout the series, I haven't really felt a whole lot for him. Like, he's kind of just there for me, but I actually really connected to his character in this book, and I enjoyed being in his head a lot more than I thought I would. Osric and Rissa. I love Rissa so much. I think she is amazing. She is my second favorite female character after Arin. I love her fire. I love her grit. I love how tough she is. I love that she just does not let anyone step all over her, and she has just so much strength, and she has throughout the entire series, but you can really see her just being free and being fiery and being herself. I think her and Osric are the perfect couple. I really enjoyed the scene of Rissa and Manu in the tower together. I loved when Rissa ended up reuniting with Osric on the battlefield. She was like, you gave Manu the house with the tower, like, why didn't I get that? And I just love that she never stops being herself, which I think is a really great message, and I just love her and Osric together. They have great chemistry, and I actually thought that their romance was really well done. Even though it was done a lot more quickly than the other romance in this book, I still think that it is believable and impactful. And then at the end, I was happy to see that everyone was reunited and they are all in Anwin. I figured that Slade and Arin would end up there because they just kept talking about how sweet the air is and how their magic feels good and breathing there feels right. So I figured that's where we were heading, but I am glad to see them settling happily in the Fae world. Arin deserves to rest. Arin deserves a break. Arin deserves to just be, and it was nice to have those moments of them realizing everything's gonna be okay and they can just be together and have their one day, as they said throughout the series. So those are the things in this book that I liked, but there were multiple things in this book that I didn't like, or I feel confused about, or I just feel underwhelmed by. The first one being Queen Kyla, King Thold, and then just Aurea as a whole. When we end this book, all of our main characters are stuck in Anwin, and they don't really know what's going to happen to Aurea. Queen Kyla and King Thold are like, hey, we need to figure out what we're going to do because we have this separated kingdom and we need to finally unite. And Kyla's kind of like, well, I don't know about that. We'll have to have a meeting. And she seems, I don't know, I'm walking away from this series. I don't really like Kyla, and I don't know if her purpose was impactful as much in this series as I thought it was going to be. Like, a few books ago, I was like, oh my god, she's gonna be the new big bad. And now I'm like, she's kind of just, I don't know, causing problems for people. She did come in and help out in the end. They could not have defeated the Fae without her and her army, but I felt underwhelmed, I think, by her presence, and then just irritated with her by the end. And I feel very unsatisfied with the fact that we don't know what happens to Aurea. We don't know what the fate of that kingdom is. And it just feels very like we're just cut off. which is literally exactly what happened when all the characters went through the fairy ring and then they realized there are no other people left who can create a fairy ring. But we spent the entire series in Aurea. I really wish that we could have seen more of what happened in the aftermath. I'm thinking of those little girls who helped heal Rissa, like what's going on with them. I think the premiers are going to be taking care of them, obviously, but I'm so curious about Slade left Fourth Kingdom and he's not going back there, and all of the kingdoms are in disarray and there's so many people displaced, and I don't know, I would have loved to see a bit of aftermath, a post-war, what is going on with Aurea. I know that Arryn and Slade were not going to stay there and so many bad things happened there, but as a plot point, I felt a bit unsatisfied by that. And then one of the things that happened in this book that honestly really bothered me, and it is the final chapter of this book. The final chapter of this 6-book fantasy romance series. We've gone through so much. We've seen war, we've seen death, we've seen sacrifice. Our characters have just gone through so much, and the final chapter of this book is just a sex scene between Arryn and Slade. A long, drawn out, entire chapter, very detailed sex scene. And look, that's what they deserve, okay? Like, I totally get that, but finishing off a series with just spicy times, I didn't like that. I really didn't. I felt that it did all of these characters and this whole story kind of a disservice. I think because of how detailed it was and how like full on it was, and that is the last time that we're gonna see Arryn and Slade. Like, these are my last moments with these characters that I love so much, and this is it. I felt kind of strange about that. I don't know, I was really disappointed when I realized I'm in the last chapter, this is what we're doing. Okay, great. I just love when a fantasy series really takes the time in the very end of the finale to bring everyone together, to be a little bit nostalgic, even get a little bit cheesy, heartwarming. Like, I just love that, especially because this is such an emotional series. I would have loved to see more details of how are things going for Osric and Rissa, Riot, Lou, Digby, Elore, more of Arryn and Slade's day-to-day. What about Wick, Emony? We'll get to her in a second. I just wish that I could have seen more of that, and I don't know, just the final chapter in this fantasy romance series being full smut kind of disappointed me. It just didn't feel like the proper finale. Obviously, that's just my opinion. Raven Kennedy can end her series however she wants, of course, but I just felt a little dissatisfied by that, and I just wanted to spend more time with these characters in a meaningful way. I really would have loved to see Arryn and Rissa and Digby talk more towards the end. There is a mention of Slade looks over and see Arryn, Rissa, and Digby having a conversation, and I'm like, I would have loved to see what that conversation is. Those three have been here from the beginning. Those are three of the first characters that we meet in Guild, and what a reunion for them to have. I would have loved to see them talk and reconnect, but instead we get smut, which is okay, which is fine. Love a smut scene. I think particularly as well because we had a very long, drawn out, spicy scene after they reunited. I felt like, okay, we're good. We don't need any more. We got it. They've done every position. They've done it in a boat, in a house, all over the place. Like, I get the picture, got it clear, thank you. I just wish that we didn't end the whole series on that. I don't know, that just disappointed me. And then quick note on Emony. I freaking knew the second that we met her, and do not ask me how I knew this because I can't explain it to you. The second that we met her, I was like, oh, this is gonna be Riot's love interest in like whatever spin-off book that Riot gets. I don't know why, but I knew it. I think because she became a genuine friend to Arryn so quickly, and she clearly was important to Arryn early on. I was like, oh, she's gonna be the friend of Arryn, and that's how Riot is gonna get to know her, and they're gonna be like little double date times once Riot and Emony get together. But I knew the second that we met her and Arryn started talking, something in my brain just popped up and was like, oh, this is gonna be Riot's love interest. And I think I'm correct. Nothing really happened between them, but Emony was in her head talking about how attractive Riot was. Riot was being very protective of her, but then at the same time calling her annoying, which I agree with Riot. I really liked Emony at first when we first met her in the last book, but she ended up really irritating me in this book. I think her constant need to be a quirky girl and say these one-liners during very serious moments, I don't know, she irritated me. I don't know how I feel about her. I will read whatever other book comes out in this world. If Raven Kennedy is going to move forward with a Riot spinoff, then I'm definitely willing to see what else Raven Kennedy has in store for this world as a whole. And with that, my Plated Prisoner series vlog is done. Before I go, let's rank these books. So I'm gonna rank them from my least favorite to my absolute most favorite. So starting off with my least favorite book in the Plated Prisoner series, Glow. Book 4, this was the book where I feel like the least happened. It kind of felt like filler. It kind of felt like, oh, we need to take some time to explain things. Not a terrible book by any means, but just probably the least interesting of all the books. Next, this may be recency bias, but I'm gonna say Goldfinch. Goldfinch is my second to least favorite book in the series. It was still good. I mean, I cried. Hello. Like, obviously I had a good emotional time with this book, but there were also aspects of this book that left me very unsatisfied and I wanted more from, and I think I expected something different from the finale, but still pretty decent book. All right, and then we have Guild, the very first book in the series. While I did enjoy this book more upon reread, it is a book that has very, very dark themes. It honestly feels so tonally different from the rest of the series. Looking back on it now, this feels very different. It feels like it stands alone. The threats against women, the violence against women in this book was particularly difficult to get through. So while there are aspects of this book that I enjoy, definitely one of the tougher books to get through. Then we have Gold, which is the second to last book in the series. This was a bit of a dark horse for me. I did not think I was going to love this as much as I did. I was kind of afraid that I was going to feel exactly the same as I felt with Glow, but I think the second half of this book really saved it. It was so fun, so action-packed, and so many plot twists that I didn't even know were options, but I was totally along for the ride. And then my second favorite book in the Plated Prisoner series is Glint. Glint is so much fun because Arin finally gets away from Midas. She is with the Wrath. She is with Fourth Kingdom's army. She is getting to know Slade more. There's so much tension, so much flirting, but they still don't get together in this book. And she also reveals that she's Fae in this book. So this is really a turning point where we introduce Arin being Fae and what that means and her powers and everything. So this was a very, very fun read. And then, in my opinion, the very best book in the Plated Prisoner series, Gleam. Book 3, so good, such a perfect 5-star. I loved it. This is the book where Slade and Arin get together. This is where we see the romance blossom. This book also has the demise of King Midas, which we love. And I think just so much happens in this book and it's such a turning point, and it was just so fun, romance-filled, action-packed. I could go on. I absolutely love Gleam. All right, my friends, that is it. That is the end of my Plated Prisoner series reading vlog. I had a great time making this video. I hope you had a great time watching. If you made it to this point in the video, thank you so much, because I think this video is going to be super long, so I really appreciate you watching all the way through. But if you made it to this point in the video and you wanted to leave an emoji, go ahead and leave the yellow heart. Also, let me know down in the comments, are there other series reading vlogs that you would like to see from me, specifically fantasy romance series? I would love suggestions. Please make sure that you're following me on Instagram and Goodreads. They are always linked down below. I really appreciate that you watched this video. I hope that you're having a fantastic day. I love you all so, so much, and I will catch you guys in the next one.